Here's the house that I just purchased for $1,500. So, not actually this property we just purchased subject to, and this actually was a listing of ours that we were unable to sell beforehand. This is the longest I've ever had a property listed before, and we went in and out of contract several times. Various different reasons. We had a buyer get cold feet. We had another buyer that felt like there were too many repairs needed. We had another hedge fund that we gave an opportunity to that, of course, asked for a ridiculous price drop after the fact. And so after almost 280 days, these sellers were ready to just let the property go. Now, I've had many calls about buyers trying to do subject to, trust acquisitions, all these other various different types of creative finance purchases. And the seller was actually an attorney and a accountant. So very risk averse profile. For those that don't know, subject to is where the debt is essentially staying in the seller's name, whereas I, the buyer, take over the property itself. The deed transfers over to me. I am then responsible for the property. I make payments on the seller's behalf, and that is essentially how the transaction works. There are risks associated with doing subject to transactions. The property or the loan can be called due, essentially stating that the lender is forcing you to pay off the loan at that time. And so that is essentially the biggest risk, but of course it does affect the seller's DTI and things like that. They, of course, didn't trust anyone with, such a relationship to have. But over the several months, I had actually really gained a lot of trust with these sellers when they had received my mail. So I did mail these clients, and we were actually looking to purchase the property. But after I had kind of listened to their situation and how much they were trying to get for the property, I knew that the only way we were going to maybe even get close to what they paid for this property was if we were to take it to market. The previous tenant had trashed the property, and so I came in with my crews and I got the property renovated for them. I think they spent, I don't know, $6,000 or $7,000 getting this property fixed up. It was really nothing major. But yeah, then we got the property listed. They did buy this property from a full turnkey provider. So anyone that's looking to use full turnkey providers, please do your research. They were told this was a B-class area. This is one of the worst areas in Kansas City, actually. Very dangerous area. I don't really feel like I'm in danger going and walking there through the day, but I certainly wouldn't go at night, if that says anything about the area. So that's just a little bit about the background behind the property, but let's get into some numbers here. So like I said, they purchased this property for $175,000. The property had actually appraised at that price, but they never hit those expected returns that they were told, as there were definitely other operating expenses that were left out of the pro forma. There were definitely some things to take into consideration. So after the remaining time, we had priced this property again and again. We started off at actually $160,000, which I honestly felt was probably a little bit too high, but considering they bought this property back, I think 4 or 5 years ago for $175,000, and prices still have not gone down in these areas, although properties are not moving in these areas. The properties that do sell around the same. When you look at it from a statistical standpoint, the prices have remained consistent. They have not really appreciated in this area. Of course, they did in early 2000s, but last couple of years, not really much appreciation. Pretty steady line, which is not bad for a D-class area. So that being said, we had price dropped all the way down to $135,000, which is where they would need to sell the property after they pay my listing agent commission, a buyer's agent commission, and any other title fees and things like that. So they were up against their loan. There was no more price dropping for them, and showings had really completely stopped. And they had said, "Hey, we are going to take this property off the market and give it another try again with a renter or something." But they were tired of having the property sit while they were making mortgage payments every month. And that was when I had finally decided to see if they had any interest in selling to me subject to. I know that they had zero interest in any of our previous offers, but I knew that I had the relationship. And so I, of course, threw it out there and said, "Hey, look, I know how to navigate this. If something does get called due, I can ensure you guys are protected as much as possible. Of course, we have all of our disclosures and everything that do get signed by them." But they were interested in going ahead and moving forward with that. So I got their permission to actually go ahead and cancel the listing. I had my property managers then put the property up for rent for $1,500 a month is what we had put it up for. They had previously had it rented for $1,450. They had actually, I'm not sure if my property managers had directly reached out to Community Service League or not, but we had rented the property out to Community Service League. We found a tenant within 1 week. Now we do have to pay these tenants utilities. However, they're renting the property for $2,000 and I think it's $76. Here, let me pull this up. Oh, that is the wrong. So they had actually rented the property for $2,078. So these are essentially our numbers on the property. The mortgage payment alone $790, taxes are $911, and insurance is about $180. This is bringing our total payment to right around $1,046. So even with our property management taking their 9% that they take and us still budgeting $104 a month in repairs, which of course $104 if things aren't going to break every month. But if something does break, that's a couple $100. We have essentially accounted for this. So our net cash flow is $441. That means we had 117% cash on cash. Just for most people, to get a good idea, most people are looking between 8 to 12% cash on cash. This is the money that you are making for the money that you have invested. Cap rate of almost 12, also very high. Typical cap rate is going to be, somewhere around the ballpark of, like in this area, probably an 8 cap. So still, outperforming that by a considerable amount. So we did get our interest rate. I believe it's somewhere between 6.5 and 6.75. It's right around there. So super excited to get this deal done. And we were able to essentially create take a rough situation and create a winning scenario for us, a winning scenario for the sellers. And really everyone gets to walk away happy. We get to buy the property for essentially just the closing costs. We're going to pay $1,500 after everything's said and done with title fees and recording fees and any other, proration. It'll be $1,500 or less. And then we'll probably spend, I don't know, $3,000 or less fixing up some of the just small deferred maintenance items to make sure we don't have any issues. So all in all, great deal for us. We already own several homes in this area, and we'll just add door 18 to the rental portfolio. So if you want to know how to do deals like this, feel free to comment. Feel free to follow me across my other social media platforms. I'm happy to be an open book for anyone that may be looking to get some questions answered on how to do deals like this. So have a good one, everyone.